Bellator are announcing that they're doing a Bellator versus Rizin fight at the end of the year.
What do you think?
John, I got to be honest, man. Fans, myself, fans, people, all they talk about is co-promotion. All they talk about is, I want to see this guy fight this guy. I got to be honest. This is something that is going to have to, this is going to start to separate these promotions.
This is the greatest thing that has happened in the world of MMA in the last 5 years.
I don't know, man. I'm a little hesitant.
Why? Don't you love that Rizin is saying, we believe in our guys. We want to prove that our guys are the best.
Absolutely.
Bellator is saying, we believe in our guys. I mean, because they're not neither one's taking chump change and putting them out there. They're putting
champions.
Freaking guys that are holding titles.
Yeah.
They're putting guys that are holding titles.
Yeah. This isn't, when we talked about.
It's freaking unbelievable, Josh.
So when I was on Rogan, I said, hey, why don't we take fighters from each, and Joe's like, oh, why would you do that? Like, why would the UFC do it? And I agree. That's fine. But I said, well, then don't have champions fight. Have like your number 2 or your number 3. Like here, I talked the other day about trades. I said, Robert Whittaker hasn't been able to beat Izzy. Yeah. Let's go ahead and trade Robert Whittaker for somebody that's young and talented, maybe a Fabian Edwards. Switch him over. See what happens. Like, give me Robert Whittaker, because Robert Whittaker, I can build something in our promotion, build a name value, and you get a young talent that potentially is going to rise to the top, and you'll have for a lot longer. It can bring you in more money. Something like that would to me was exciting. This is another level of excitement because I'm excited for it, and I think this could potentially change the game. If promotions like PFL, Bellator, and Rizin decide to start all doing this with each other,
thank you.
It could start to change the game. It could start really getting rid of this monopoly of the UFC. It could. This is a big jump. This is a big jump for both. This is a big risk for both promotions. Because
risk for both.
It's huge. Because when they talk about, the UFC has so much to lose, that's why they don't do it. Why would they do it? That's fine.
I just look at it and say, hey, man, this is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. It is great that you have a promotion in Rizin and the promotion in Bellator that say, you know what? We are willing to say, all right, let's see. Yeah. I would love for the PFL to do the same thing. I would love for one to do the same thing. If the UFC doesn't want to do it, I understand. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and put them down or anything like that. There's a big gorilla out there. They can decide, if they want to do that or not. Mm-hmm. But for others, how is it not great to see that talent intermix? Because this is, all the people sitting there saying stuff, look at the UFC right now. Yuri Prochaska is 3 fights off of being the Rizin light heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. 3 fights. Yeah. He was the Rizin champion. That's when he sucked, according to everybody, because he wasn't fighting in the UFC. Now he's really good. Okay.
What's funny?
There's
John,
good fighters everywhere.
Is I was texting with Coker the other day, and I said, when he had sent me the flyer for this, probably about, 3 or 4 days ago. And he's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And I said, you're taking a big gamble. And he's like, why do you think? And I'm like, well, I said, it's a big deal. I said, this is something that fans and fighters have always wanted. They've always wanted to fight in Japan.
Yep.
Because they feel like that's kind of how this sport really started to take off, was when Pride was around. And then on top of that, there's a lot of nostalgia there for a lot of these fighters that are coming up right now. Like, I've always wanted to fight there. But I said, you're taking a big gamble because you could walk away with all your fighters losing. And you know what his response was is, look, I put them in the best scenario possible to shine. Their job is to win. And as a promoter,
he's right.
You can't ask for anything else. You have a promoter who is doing the best he can to
as
put you
a fighter,
on a huge
you can't
platform.
Ask anything more of your promoter.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not I would say he's not protecting them, but he is protecting them because he feels like, look, my guys can beat your guys. Now it's up to you to go out there and prove it. And he's always done this. You know, when I fought Kalajiri, I was part of Strikeforce. When Gilbert fought Aoki, he was part of Strikeforce. He's brought over guys from Japan to fight guys in Strikeforce, and he's sent guys from Strikeforce over to fight in Japan. This is the way it's always worked. I mean, he sent me over there right when I came out of the UFC 2004. He sent me over there to fight in Pride Bushido. Fought over there. And then again, when I was in Strikeforce, he sent me over there to fight Kalajiri. And then he brought Aoki over to fight Gilbert in Strikeforce. He is willing to mix all these things up. He's willing to go ahead and take a chance. He's doing his job as a promoter to promote the fighters the best he can. And I can almost guarantee these fighters are getting paid. These fighters are getting paid because it's always happened like that, where to do this show, they're going to do huge numbers in Japan, huge numbers. So it's going to be a big deal. This is going to be a huge show. And this is where I'm going to talk about. This right now is up to the media to do their fucking job. Their job is to promote the shit out of this, to let everyone know that this is what we've all wanted. How quiet are you guys going to be now? This is your job to promote the shit out of the fact that two huge promotions with two extremely talented, a group of talented fighters are mixing up with each other and bringing you some of the best fights you're going to see in two of the biggest promotions. It's up to them. Are you all just going to sit back and bite your tongues because you know you won't get credentialed at the next UFC if you guys cover this and build this up? I just want to know. I'm calling all of you fuckers out. I'm calling every single one of you guys out. Are you going to do your job? Are you going to talk about these two big promotions, champions versus champions, number one contenders versus another champion? They're bringing their best guys together to put on a show for everybody, for the fans, for the media, for everybody. Are you guys going to sit quietly? Are you guys going to talk about it? Are you going to do your job? That's my question. I'm throwing it out there to all the media. Are you guys going to do your job? We're going to find out. Go to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code weighing in, and they'll give you additional spending cash with your first initial deposit.